I'm going to go ahead and start with Jason. Jason, you are on air, and it says that you would like to know the definition of atheism. Do you want to start with that, or do you want to start with your demonstration of the existence of God?
I guess the definition. I define an atheist as someone who has a lack of a belief in a God that has a physical existence.
Well, no, I wouldn't add that on. I would just stop there. Just lack of a belief of a God, and then that's all that atheism is. There's other terms that people can come up with to define more details, but the atheism is just, I don't believe in God. Or I don't have a belief.
That would be like any type of God? Like you wouldn't place any limits on any type of God?
Any kind of supernatural.
Well, some people believe the sun is a God, or... they worship a totem, and we would agree that those things exist, but maybe they're not worth being worshipped. Usually we're talking about a supernatural thing that we're not believing in.
So it says that you have a question mark here. Did you not know what you think yet?
Well, I mean, I don't believe in a physical God that exists in our physical reality.
Okay.
So, I mean...
What kind of God do you believe in?
I believe in that abstract gods exist, gods that have an abstract existence and an abstract reality.
Why?
I don't know what that means.
Sounds like a Picasso painting.
When I think of abstract, I think of a concept, and we agree that God concepts exist in people's heads, and we wouldn't debate that.
Okay, but I mean, wouldn't that be, like kind of the way they, like math exists? Math is abstract. Like, wouldn't God existing in the imagination of people be an abstract existence?
That would be
I mean, why are we going to such extremes to define? It feels to me like we're trying to find some way to define a God, and that's the best way that we can come up with. Does that sound relatable at all?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's only one that I was thinking about what gods could be demonstrated, and the only gods that could be demonstrated to have an existence are the gods in the abstract gods that exist in people's imagination.
Sure, but you couldn't pray to it to get anything. It doesn't affect the real world. It doesn't. It doesn't do any work for us.
Well, so if your God is abstract, then it's not the Christian God, is it?
No, just any whatever the person believes in at that time. I mean, people's imagination can have effect on them, which can have effect on reality.
But what does that have to do with God?
Yeah.
It has an effect on their actions, not necessarily reality. Like if I think of a pink elephant, it's not going to pop up somewhere. But, if I think of a pink elephant and I get into genetic engineering and I do some crazy Frankenstein stuff, I'm sure I could create a pink elephant.
But we can actually picture a pink elephant.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have a God to even conceptualize.
But that doesn't mean the pink elephant is tangible.
Right.
It still is just, in my opinion, I think the science might back this up, is that it's just a collection of chemical reactions inside the head, inside the little soup between my ears.
And there's another problem too, and we've found this over the years with our calls with theists, is that people believe different things, even though they call it God, they call it the God or a God. They're all sort of different, and that's not very useful to us. I mean, if I talk about the sky or a pink elephant, we all know really what that is.
Well, does your God have a purpose?
No. I was just saying, there are people that believe in a God that exists only in their imagination. And I'm like, well, wouldn't that be an example of a type of God existing someplace, somewhere?
Maybe. I mean, in their heads, it exists in their heads, and because they're imagining it. But like he said, the pink elephant, you can imagine things. What does that have to do with what you believe?
And it doesn't necessarily, thinking about it, doesn't give it supernatural power. It doesn't mean that it exists outside of the meat between your ears.
Exactly.
Yeah, but going back to the definition of what an atheist is a lack of a belief in a god or gods. I mean, you didn't add like supernatural God or abstract God or what. It was just God and period. That was it. There was nothing added on.
Maybe it's a little bit of a sloppy definition, but and maybe it's a problem that the word God doesn't seem to have a referent.
Well, in general, if you're talking to a person on this planet, God means something that has some kind of purpose and it has some kind of control over the
Sentience,
universe.
right.
Right. And so that's usually the God that we're talking about. Now, there are all kinds of people who have come up with different definitions of God, but if you have your own personal definition of God, then we need to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I was talking about is like an abstract God, but I mean, I couldn't understand. But I was trying, like, how do you separate abstract God from the definition itself? I think maybe we should have a better definition of atheist.
Possibly, but if it's overly complex, then it doesn't roll off the tongue.
You come up with one.
We're open to suggestions.
It can change.
Well, I think the only thing that really matters that, from my experience, that has an effect on our physical reality, our physical matter. So, I would. That's why I added the.
Well, a lot of theists would disagree with you that God can make things happen. With a twitch of the nose or whatever.
Like Samantha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but he would have to. He would have to still interact with that. Our physical reality to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're challenging our definition of God because it doesn't include
it's
gods that we
broad.
can think of. That pops in our, like, my God is a purple feathered dragon. It doesn't fit that definition.
How would you define a theist?
A theist, someone that believes in any kind of God or God that exists anywhere.
Any kind?
Yeah, because you can be a theist, you can believe in a God that exists but doesn't have any impact on our universe.
Okay, so an atheist doesn't believe in all of those.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that people can think up gods.
Yeah. I think we're going to move on to the next caller, but thank you so much. And hey, think about it. It sounds like you're kind of on the fence. If you want to try to come up with a new definition, or if you want to talk more, just call back, okay?
Okay, I just have one more question for Don.
Sure.
Okay, my question is, do you have a favorite beer?
Favorite beer?
Yeah.
I'm not a real big beer drinker. Oh. Could it be my shirt? This is actually a shirt that was done by the ACA as kind of a parody on the Guinness label.
Yeah, Guinness label.
But it's actually for a godless pub crawl. And it's very clever design.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got merchandise, y'all.
I'm a Heineken drinker myself.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for calling, Jason.
Thank you.
Bye.
I love softball questions.
Well,
here we go. Uh-oh. Here we go. Godless
well, now that
instead of
we've
Guinness.
learned about what atheism is.
Yeah. And we've defined it.